Sign something. Yeah, it's a problem. We're gonna get it nailed down right as it's over.
Sir. I have 3 different times, so just let me know when you're ready. Okay. I'm gonna time warp over here between the clock, my computer, and my watch. 2 minutes from everywhere. Hello, you're fine. This regular city council meeting for City of Medical Lake to order for December 2nd, 2025. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Quick roll call. Councilmember Pritchard.
Present.
Councilmember Lauren Ray. Abbott.
Present.
Brand new council member. I got the first Lauren Ray for Abbott. I wanted to call you Alan. I knew that was wrong. Thank you. Councilmember Spears.
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Here.
Councilmember Maxwell.
Here.
Councilmember Herbold.
Here.
Councilmember Olson has not going to make it tonight. He's called in as ill. I ask for a motion to excuse Councilmember Olson.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll make him come in for the meeting then. He's excused. Approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda?
Move to approve. Second.
Thank you. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Proceed with the agenda as presented. This is opportunity for interested citizen comment from both the audience or anyone online. Doesn't look like anyone signed up there. Any guests online? Please raise your hand or unmute yourself. You'll have another opportunity at the end of the meeting. So there's 2 periods where we take public comments. So hearing none, and we move forward. Announcements, proclamations, and special presentations. We do have a special presentation tonight. We had held a special meeting. Let me get the date right here because I probably won't. November 25th, 2025. And that had the sole purpose of appointing our municipal court judge, Richard Mount. So Richard Mount's name came forward. As you know, we're contracting with Cheney Municipal Court, Airway Heights Municipal Court for court services, moving from Cheney to Airway Heights. And I asked for your approval to appoint Mr. Mount, and council who were present, we had a quorum, did approve that on the 25th. So we've invited Richard Mount, our new judge, to come forward and be sworn in to be our official judge for Medical Lake Municipal Court. I'm going to go ahead and go up here. And your place is fine.
Right up here is great. You don't mind raising your right hand and repeating after me. I, Richard Mount,
I, Richard Mount,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of judge
the duties of the office of the judge
of the municipal court of the city
of the municipal court of the city
of Medical Lake
of Medical Lake,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
And I do further certify
and I do further certify
that I do not advocate,
that I do not advocate,
nor am I a member
nor am I a member
of an organization that advocates
or an organization that advocates
the overthrow of the government of the United States
the overthrow of the government of the United States
by force or violence.
by force or by violence.
Mr. Mount, if you'd like to say anything, you're sure welcome to.
I just, as you know, I've known Terry for years because of my work in the Cheney court system, which she was over for a long time. I appreciate your confidence in my abilities. I've been doing this for a while. I know Mr. Kennedy through his wife several years because I sat on the Cheney school board for a long time. And so I'm just excited to be able to serve the citizens of the city of Medical Lake, and hopefully we're going to make things run smooth for your citizens, and that will be effective in carrying out the ends of justice. So appreciate your confidence.
Thank you so much. Shake your hands. You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can. My next order of business. Thank you
And
for
this is
coming.
my wife, Ann, the best half.
And thank you for coming. I think Sunny got a better picture, so we'll share that.
Okay, great.
Have a good night.
Okay. Well, that was fun stuff. So we have some reports, committee and council reports. Mr. Pritchard,
No reports.
Member Ray Abbott. Nothing. Councilmember Spears.
Got to participate in the Best of the West event. It was really nice. I enjoyed it. It was cowboy themed this year.
Yes.
So that was a little interesting to see everybody a little more relaxed. That was great. It's a great event as always. I like our local community and business coming together, recognizing it. I made the comment on the way home to my wife that it made me feel proud to live in this area, and it just kind of reminded me of the good that people are still trying to do.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you. Councilmember Kennedy.
No report other than, yes, the Best of the West was a wonderful time.
Yeah, it was. Councilmember Maxwell.
No report, Your Honor.
Councilmember.
Your Honor.
Okay, thank you so much. For my report, I will just say the Best of the West I thought was great. The takeaway for me was, wow, so many Medical Lake folks were recognized, and unusual percentage of people from Medical Lake, and it just shows the type of leadership and passion that comes out of Medical Lake, and it was nice to see that recognized and for the West Plains to celebrate. So that was a lot of fun.
Congratulations to Jerry Johnson.
Yeah, Jerry Johnson got Business Leader of the Year, and Rusty Truck was Medical Lake Small Business of the Year. We had Jim Wentland, who was Lifetime Achievement Award, and he's a longtime Medical Lake resident. He's been everything. He's been everywhere, man. He really has, but super involved with kids, 4-H and the Jensen Memorial Ranch, and is still very dedicated to raising leaders from students in our community. So that was great to hear his story, and I don't know if I missed anyone else, but it was really special. Just a little reminder that on Saturday, the 6th of December, if you signed up for the training for elected official training, it's a good opportunity. If you still like to go, you can sign up. I don't think it's too late. And so look forward to having those of you there that are going to attend. And then just one thing that I thought of at the last minute, we have committee positions that are probably open. So if we could get that figured out for our next meeting And then we'll call for anyone who wants to serve on maybe those committees that have some vacancies where if anyone wants to move around. So that would be great. Winter Festival then is Saturday, December 13th. Don't forget that. This should be a fun festive day. That's all I have. Plenty else on the docket. Mr. Weathers?
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just to echo the best of the West, and I wanted to let everybody who was there know as well that the support from the medical aid crowd was very much appreciated. So it was great to see so many great friends and local business leaders represented and recognized for the excellent work that they do. So we're a pretty special place, and it was very cool to see all that recognized. Only other thing that hasn't been mentioned already that I wanted to bring up is that the audit is finally coming to a close, and you should have an invitation in your email to the exit conference. It's scheduled for next Tuesday, December 9th at 1:30 p.m. It will be virtual, so but always welcome to join and see and ask questions and see the results. But we're excited about it. It was a great process. Scott did a great job as per usual, and we're looking forward to hearing all the good things that they were able to see in that exit conference. And that's all that I have to mention that hasn't already been mentioned.
I will say for the note on the audit for maybe citizens who wouldn't be able to attend is that there were no findings. Probably have a couple notes on things that we could shore up a little bit for next time around, but pretty good for a single audit. But there were no findings. So I want to really congratulate Goss on the excellent work that he did. Not only cleaning up our budget, reorganizing things, all of the work that's happened over the last 4 years, and then in his first term, if you will, to take on a single audit, because that federal funding was pretty phenomenal, and we have a lot to be proud of with our staff. So thank you, Goss, for that. Okay, workshop discussion, periodic update. Elisa Rodriguez, our city planner, senior planner, soon to be, and she will be advising us on, as we talked about, she'll be coming often to update us on the progress that we're making and the changes that we'll see coming.
Good evening. Before I start with my presentation, I have a couple of public service announcements. One is that our planning commission is going to be short one member, so there's an opening right now. So if you know anybody who's interested, please apply. The website has the application and the information, and that's due on the 18th of December. The second is that we are having a Facebook Live event next Wednesday, the 10th of December, 6 p.m. So tune in. If for some reason you're not able to tune in, there will be a recorded version you can see later, but hope you're able to do that. Okay. Before I start, I want to remind you that sometimes I forget language is technical language that I'm familiar with and you might not be familiar with, so never hesitate to ask what something means. It's most likely the person sitting next to you doesn't know what it means either, so don't hesitate. So this is our first. We have this little schedule that you were given in the past. We're in the second column, amendment criteria. We had a planning commission workshop on the 20th of November, and here we are on December 2nd for your idea workshop. And why are we here? Why are we doing all of these amendments? Yes, we have state mandates, but ultimately we want a clear, well-organized, enforceable municipal code that adheres to state law while reflecting our community values. And we're starting with amendment criteria on purpose because the criteria for amendments will be used to evaluate all the other amendments that you're going to see in the next 12 months. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so used to this thing not working. Good job, whoever got it going. So what is approval criteria? So it's called amendment criteria. An amendment means, in this instance, amending amending the code, the comp plan, et cetera, which I'll go over in a minute. But approval criteria is kind of the meat of this, and approval criteria is the criteria that is used to evaluate proposals. So if we were doing something that's quasi judicial, like somebody applies to do a subdivision, those criteria are must all be met in order to be approved. And you must have a defensible argument for that, which is what I provide in my report, my staff report, with the findings for the criteria. So I kind of do that behind the scenes work for you, and then you evaluate what I've done and what the planning commission has done and say, like, this is reasonable and good, or it is not. So that's what approval criteria is. What we're going to be doing these next 12 months are legislative reviews. So ultimately, it's the planning commission that will use the criteria to evaluate, but ultimately you, as a legislative body, have a little more flexibility in how you do that, because you're creating law. So you use what planning commission has evaluated, and then you make the final decision, but you have a little more discretion to do that with legislative. Okay, so that's what approval criteria is. So our current code, chapter 17.56, is amendments, and anybody is welcome to look at our code anytime. If you're not used to reading that kind of information, it can be kind of confusing. So it's one of my goals is to make or give a good summary of what is in that code. So what exists and what I hope to make happen in our code. So the current chapter 17.56 had a major update in 1999, and that was response to the Growth Management Act. So Growth Management Act, I forget what year exactly, but it's the early 90s, and jurisdictions were given a little bit of time to adopt all those new regulations. And so ours were mostly in 1999. There's one set of criteria for all amendment types, and you have those in your packet tonight. I think it's page 4, right after the briefing sheet. They are not the best criteria, and it's the same no matter what the amendment. We've used them a couple times. If you were here for it, we had the shipping containers, and we had the process changes for planning processes about this time last year. And so using this criteria was hard. It wasn't the best way to evaluate the proposal. So this is what we've been dealing with that we want to improve. The other thing in that amendment chapter is that the type 4 process. So that type 4 process, the process didn't change, but it was better defined through our changes in 2024 that became effective the first day of 2025, creating 4 types of processes for land use review. And so that won't be changing. We'll keep the type 4 process, but that's a general overview of what you can find in that chapter. So what are other cities doing? I reviewed a number of other codes, and I certainly did not come across any municipal code that I was like, this is so nice, this is written so well. That did not exist for this particular topic. Things are mandated by the Growth Management Act, and every jurisdiction had sort of a varying level of how much information they had in their code. So the process and criteria are what really need to be in our municipal code. And a lot of it we can either reference, or it still applies whether we reference it in our code. The Growth Management Act applies for us all the time, no matter what. So what I'm looking at closely, the meat of it, as I said, are the approval criteria, because it's unique to us. And I read all kinds of approval criteria, and I tried to get down to the ones that I thought were most appropriate for the different types of amendments that we will be looking at. So on the reverse side of the current is the proposed. Next time I visit you, I will have a lot of language, but I wanted to just talk about criteria today because it's, like I said, the meat of it, and it really, you need to understand what's going on with that before we move forward. So best practices: adhere to growth management, and then provide clarity, predictability, transparency, and consistency. So our municipal code, we want that. We want staff to be able to read it, understand it, administer it. We want the public also to be able to understand what they're reading, at least in a broad in a broad sense. It shouldn't be written in such a technical way that the average citizen wouldn't be able to have some kind of understanding of what our code is meant, regulations and processes. So the language that I will be recommending after going through Planning Commission is the basic information from our growth management. So not every little detail, it's lengthy. There's a lot of ins and outs. It all still applies. I'm just going to recommend some basic about our process and our criteria, and just, so we understand what the system is that we will be going through in future amendments. So amendment types, there's 3 types. We have the comprehensive plan. So we have a current comprehensive plan, and we are going to be amending that this year. In reality, we'll be replacing it because it just is not well written, and we think we can do a lot better job for our community. The second are development regulations. Development regulations are those regulations in our municipal code regarding development, generally titles 15 through 19, but you're going to see a little bit of that in other titles like 11 that have streets and sidewalks. The third is our zoning map, which is hiding behind me back here. So that is something that is sort of a bridge between the two. It is in our comprehensive plan. It also is necessary to implement our zoning code. So that one can be amended separately from the other two. So they can all be amended together. They can all be amended separately, but those are the 3 basic types. So when we talk about comprehensive plan amendments, there's 3 types of those. So periodic update, that's what we're doing right now, what we've been doing for a while. So it's mandatory from the state that we update our comprehensive plan every 10 years. And part of that is looking at new population numbers that were given by the state and to accommodate those, which flows over into housing and how we're going to accommodate that population and what kind of housing. It also generally has, there's been legislative changes. So we have a lot this time. I don't know if it's really more or less than normal, but we certainly have a lot of them to deal with in this round. Then there's annual amendments. So the Growth Management Act also says we cannot amend more often than once a year. So we cannot come in 3 or 4 times a year and amend our comprehensive plan. We can do development regulations whenever, but comprehensive plan no more than once a year. And we have to look at all the potential amendments together to look at the impact of that. And then finally, there are exempt amendments, which I don't plan to list out in our code because the Growth Management Act spells them all out. There's emergency amendments, there's amendments for new sub-area plans. They're specific and they're laid out, and there's no reason to have all that information in our municipal code. So, approval criteria. The approval criteria isn't exactly mandated as approval criteria in the GMA, but the GMA basically says these things. 1, we have to be consistent with the GMA. 2, we have to be consistent with the Spokane County-wide planning policies. And 3, our amendment needs to be consistent with the rest of the plan. And in our case, this is not, we have a strategic plan, and then the GMA says also consistent with the capital facility plan. So with the exception of our strategic plan, this is the basic expectation of the Growth Management Act when we are updating our comprehensive plan. the development regulation amendments. Why do we do these? One is to carry out comprehensive plan. So we're going to update our comprehensive plan. We have new goals and policies and potential actions. So some of those are carried out in our development regulations. Another is response to legislative changes, which is why we dealt with the process changes last year, because we had to have those on the books by January 1st of 2025. And finally, improving the usability of our municipal code. Our code has been amended dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and I don't know that anybody's ever really gone through and and really audited the whole thing. And once in a while there's a conflict, lots of times there's duplication, and it's just not that easy to read. Some things are obsolete. So that'll be a fun discussion in the future, those strange things we have in our code that maybe we don't need anymore. So development regulations, I proposed 7 criteria. So I'm not sure if I had said on all the criteria, you need to know exactly what all these mean. And if you don't, we need to change the language so you do, because it needs to be clear for you and the public, like what these mean. So if I've written them in a way that is difficult or ambiguous, we need to change them to make them better. Or if there's a criteria you don't think should be there or a criteria you think should be added, this is a good time, or anytime you can contact me outside the meeting to give me feedback on that. So development regulation amendment approval criteria, there are 7. So number 1, it implements the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. So we don't want things in our development code that are not aligned with our comprehensive plan. Number 2, that it complies with the Growth Management Act, including urban growth boundaries, critical areas, and future housing needs. The proposed amendment does not conflict with our shoreline master program. So currently our master program is a separate document that was approved by resolution. So it's never been incorporated into our municipal code. Someday in the future it might, but not this year. So we have to look at that. Number 4, that it's consistent with all the other plans that the city has. So including but not limited to our strategic plan, capital facilities plan, water plan, sewer plan, and transportation plan. Our transportation plan is actually under works. We don't have one right now, but we have a consultant working on that one. So we should have it within the next few months. Number 5, the amendment will not adversely affect the ability for the city to provide services in a cost-effective manner. So we don't want to create a situation that we are obligated to support a development that would break the bank. So we always want to be cognizant of what it is long-term at build-out that we are allowing. Number 6, that the amendment will result in a long-term benefit to the community and is, long-term benefit to the community as a whole and is in the public interest. So if it's a city-initiated amendment, it's highly likely, but individual citizens can also apply for amendments, and we just want to make sure, especially when that happens, that we're thinking about the greater good and not just that individual property or the benefit to that individual owner. And finally, number 7, that the proposed amendments will not result in adverse impacts to public infrastructure, wetlands, lakes, businesses, or residents. Pretty broad, but might be necessary when evaluating. Zoning map amendments. So these generally zoning map amendments, if they're city initiated, it's going to be during a comprehensive plan update. It would be unlikely otherwise, although not impossible. However, private citizens frequently want to change zones. So when I get a call from somebody wanting to know if they can do something on the property, whether it's a use or development, if I say no, the next question is always, can I apply for a zone change? And I am always going to discourage that because in theory, our zoning map is the way it is for a reason that has a lot of thought behind it and a lot of planning for our future. And we don't want a single property owner coming in with one property and changing just that one site. So if you have a large commercial area and somebody wants to change just one property to residential, like that's not really appropriate most of the time. The exception to this is if it's a large piece of land, several acres, maybe it is appropriate to do a zone change there. But generally, I mean, people can apply, that's no problem. I'll explain the process and the cost, but I do generally discourage that type of application because of those reasons. Slide. Zoning map amendment approval criteria. So I did 4 of those, once again, consistent with the comprehensive plan. And importantly, number 2, does not reduce the housing capacity or income stratification needs for the city. And what this means is the Growth Management Act and recent changes say that we always have to provide a certain amount of housing, or we have to prove that we can support a certain amount of housing. But now it's also, we are required to show that we allow a income stratification, right? So different housing types. So we can't have a city that is only single family residents, because that is only going to provide housing for people whose income can afford that type of housing. So that's what that's about. So if we couldn't change, say if we had multifamily zoning and we wanted to change it to single family zoning, well, we would have to look at all our numbers and see if we were still meeting those requirements for housing. Number 3, proposed amendment will not adversely affect the ability to provide services. We talked about that. And once again, looking at the long-term benefits of the community as a whole, and that it's in the public interest and not just the interest of that particular property owner. So that concludes the explanation, a general overview of what you're going to see in the future in actual language. Then the SEPA has been done for this, a determination of non-significance. So SEPA is something I have to do for everything, and that was sent out and it's in the newspaper and it's on our website, and the comment period closes on Thursday, so in 2 days. So any comments I receive will be incorporated into my staff report. And then the Planning Commission has a public hearing on December 18th for this subject, and they will be provided language for that hearing. It will be in their packet, and which will be available to everyone online, and they will review the information, hear from the public. I will have my staff report for them, and then they will make a recommendation to you on how they feel, or I don't want to say how they feel. You never get to vote on how you feel about evaluating the criteria, the approval criteria. And then the next time I see you, it will have that language in that staff report, but it will not be in ordinance form yet. That will be the following meeting for you, where we will have a public hearing, and the actual draft ordinance will be available. I know that's a lot of information, but nobody seems to have dozed off. So any questions?
When we had our staff meeting today, I did ask Lisa, if you remember last meeting, she said that as she makes those presentations to the planning commission, that we can go online and look at those, so she briefs them. That might be good for us to watch that before she comes in and briefs us on that subject. So I asked today if at the end of the planning commission meeting, if she'll email all of us with the link. So all we have to do is just click on it and then we can watch that for probably a more in-depth briefing than we receive here. And we might be a little more prepared hearing it the second time. So anyway, just wanted to add that note.
And I'm encouraging both, like planning commission to watch your meeting and you to watch theirs, so you're informed of what's happening.
Very good.
It's a riveting meeting.
Thank you for attending.
Yes.
You didn't have your camera on. I don't know if you were actually awake.
That's,
Any questions then related to the workshop? All right, thank you very much. And we'll move on then, 7 executive session, we have none. Move on to the public hearing then for 2026 final budget first read. So it's almost sounds like an oxymoron. But first read of ordinance 1138 for the 2026 final budget. Received your printed copy in hand, that's referenced in here in our packet, that it's will be posted online and available, but it's not printed for the sake of having the reams of paper here. So with that said, I will open the hearing for ordinance number 1138. Do you need to read that for the first read? Okay, and it is 7:05.
Ordinance number 1138, City of Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington, an ordinance of the City of Medical Lake, Washington, adopting budget for the period January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, appropriating funds and establishing salary schedules for established positions.
So much. Thank you. Mr. Ronholt will give us a presentation then.
Luckily, it'll be brief, but I just wanted to let council know. So I've provided the insides of the replacement for the binders that you guys have been provided. So the preliminary budget, so that you can swap out the materials. The preliminary budget is obsolete now, and this takes its place. But we just wanted to save on how many binders were provided. So anyway, just essentially an overview on what has changed since the preliminary budget. Luckily, none of the data has changed based on the feedback that was provided, but I have included several documents that I think that both council and the citizens of Medical Lake would find useful, as well as the table of contents that walks you through all of those contents, including the mayor's budget that was provided at the last meeting. There's an organization chart. There is a document that goes over the committees, commissions, and boards. And I know that in the future meeting, we'll be talking about some additional assignments for the year. And then, of course, the ordinance that is provided in this meeting, so that you can go back and reference what was adopted, as well as a budget guide. And then all of the other documents were part of the preliminary budget. And
any questions from council? Any discussion during the open public hearing? Any questions? We went over it pretty thoroughly with no changes. Then do I close the public hearing in order to open up for public comments? That's how that works. Thank you. Then I'll close the public hearing then at 7:02, fastest ever, and open this up for public comment. Any questions from the public, either online or in the room, related to the final budget, 2026 final budget?
Can I move to accept the first read of ordinance 1138?
we would do 3 calls for public comment before we go in, if you don't mind.
Second call for public comment. And last and third call for public comment? Hearing none, then I'd entertain a motion.
Okay, move to accept ordinance 1138.
Second.
Any further discussion from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Ordinance 1138 first read passes. It will continue on then to the next regularly scheduled council meeting. Thank you, council. Moving on to action items and consent agenda approval of the November 18, 2025 minutes. Any, additions or changes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those minutes passed. Soon we'll have the minutes from the special meeting on the next agenda. And approval of December 2nd, 2025 claims and warrants numbered 53178 through 53228 in the amount of $357,053.15.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Approval passes. We have the appointment of Patrick Flaherty, the Park and Rec Advisory Board. I have a letter here that I will sign with the council's approval. You remember interviewing Patrick Flaherty when he came as one of the council applicants. And then I did meet with him afterwards and I said, I think he'd be great on the park board. And he said, I agree. We had just a wonderful discussion. So with your approval, I'd like to appoint.
Definitely move to approve that.
Second.
Is there a second? Oh,
Second.
Mr. Kennedy, second. Any discussion then, comment? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We have a new park board member. Wonderful. Resolution 25784, this is a 2026 CTR agreement update. I don't know if we have Leanne Yamamoto online.
I'm here. Thank you.
We can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I did have a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if it was received or not. And if not, I can just talk.
We're
Oh,
working
super.
on it. We're up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm here to present to you the CTR agreement for the implementation of commute trip reduction in the city of Medical Lake. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of the CTR program in Spokane County. Again, I'm Leanne Yamamoto. I'm the TDM manager for Spokane County, and I run the Commute Smart program, which houses the commute trip reduction law. We work with over 93 businesses, helping them to promote employees to carpool, ride the bus, bike, walk, van pool, telework, and also compress their work schedules. You can go to the next screen. Or can I push it forward? Okay, so the commute trip reduction, there is a law in the state of Washington called the Commute Trip Reduction Law. It was passed in 1991, so it's been around for over 30 years. It's part of the Clean Air Act, and it was updated in 2006. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide. Thank you. So who's affected by the CTR law? So counties with urban growth areas, including Spokane County, is affected. So also employers within those urban growth areas that have over 100 employees who start their day between 6 and 9 a.m. and work over 35 hours a week are also affected. It applies to all public and private employers, and then also applies to the local jurisdictions as well, including the city of Medical Lake. So Spokane County has been the lead agency since 1993. We do work with 93 employers throughout our region, implementing CTR to everyone. This is a list of all of the jurisdictions that are affected, including Medical Lake, with 3 work sites in Medical Lake. So next slide. So requirements for administering the CTR law, we need to survey all the employers in our program every 2 years. We actually did that in 24, so we'll be surveying again in the spring of 2026. We also annually review the employer CTR programs that the employers submit to us. We also provide training for the coordinators at every work site to make sure they're up to speed and know what they're doing at their work site to promote CTR. We provide the worksite support, meet with the ETCs and managers as needed, just to ensure that they have CTR success. We also assist newly affected worksites in setting up a program and helping them reach those minimum requirements according to the law. We also update the jurisdiction CTR plans, which we did this last, probably last year or so, every 4 years. So next slide. So the goals for Medical Lake, your current drive alone rate, and this is a new baseline that was taken through our surveys in 2024, is 82.3%. The goal that we had come up with for the CTR plans is 9% reduction in the drive alone rate for the city of Medical Lake. The goals for the employers will be based on their survey results, and then there'll be a metric to give them a fair amount to reduce by 2029, by the time the CTR plans end in 2029. The state does have a goal of a 60% drive alone rate, and as a region, Spokane County is 64.4%. And so with the help of all the other jurisdictions, we're hoping to reduce that by the 4.4%. Again, a little bit harder with you guys being out in Medical Lake and being further out. So that's why the 9% reduction was established. So next slide. So the CTR program does have a lot of benefits. It's a model for public and private partnerships. Again, we've been working with all of these work sites for over 30 years, have great relationships with them, and the majority of them all have really strong programs as well. It's a low-cost congestion management tool, so it helps us reduce traffic, reduces parking constraints, adds foot traffic for businesses, and then it also reduces air pollution as well. So next slide. So this intergovernmental agreement is between Spokane County and the City of Medical Lake. We do this every 2 years with the state funding, and that was $650,200 for a 2-year biennium. Medical Lake's allocation for the implementation of that is $20,751. And again, you guys have 3 work sites in the City of Medical Lake, including City of Medical Lake, Eastern State Hospital, and Lakeland Village. Just to make a comment on our impact on the community with the program as a whole. Each day we reduce over 8,300 trips off the roadways, which is really significant. Over 141,000 miles are not driven. Again, that's each day. And for the year, we reduce over 2.1 million trips, and over 36.6 million miles are not driven on the roadway. So really does go a long way with helping with maintenance and things like that and reducing traffic congestion. Next slide. So I did want to put a shameless plug in. You guys should have all received the Save the Date card for our Commute Smart Champions program. It's our awards event. It'll be February 5th at the Davenport Grand. Typically we have the mayor or a council member come and give the awards to the city or to the employers within the City of Medical Lake. So please mark your calendars, and I'll be sending out more information and the invites as we get a little bit closer. So next slide. So that concludes my presentation. Just want to open it up to see if anybody has any questions.
I have one question. The question is, wondering, you probably have a good answer to this, I just don't remember it, but reason why the school district is not named as one of our employers.
The school district, the high school, or just the entire school district?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've actually never been part of our program. It could be because they may not have 100 employees that work the 35 hours each week and start their day between 6 and 9 a.m. They have not self-identified, and they haven't been in since the program, but I could certainly check on it if you'd like me to.
I think that would be great.
Okay,
They
I can
have
do
a lot
that.
of teachers that commute from outside of the city into the city limits, and we only have 22 employees and we're members. So anyway,
Right. Yeah, I'll go ahead and check that. You know, a lot of employers do not self-identify if they are affected by the law. So sometimes it is hard to identify that, but I will check into that for you.
So are we required to do this?
it's a state law, RCW 70A.
And to keep track, who does the paperwork? Seems like this is more paperwork than it is anything else.
That's why we let them do it for us.
Yeah, I would
It's
just,
advantageous to us to let them full, there's a lot of criteria, and so we looked at, what if we just took our allocation and we had a person that did this for us? You have to do a lot of public outreach, you have to track, report, and it's just better to enter into a system that's doing that for
It
everybody.
seems like almost one FTE just to keep track of the paperwork.
I'm sure it's more than that, yeah.
But I'm thinking with 100 employees, all they need is to get that 9% reduction. You need 1 or 2 people from somewhere to ride the bus more.
Sunny started walking, so we're already on target to
Yeah.
Okay.
as far
exceed
as,
our
as
expectations.
far as our own, input there, I'm making a 5% improvement just from the city of Medical.
I mean, I used to try to bike, but there's no path. Is this like, is there any funding that's associated with this, or we could get some bike paths or something out of town? Because a lot of people go between Airway Heights or Cheney. I mean, with the transfer station now, it takes 2 hours to get anywhere on the bus, so that's kind of out
Right,
for the most part. So it'd have to be biking or walking. I try to bike to Cheney pretty regularly, but then you get the
I do
coal
too.
smoke, and I don't like biking through black smoke. So
Yeah. and there's no shoulder if you
there's
go
no show at
Sawmill.
all. Well, some, yeah, it makes
Yeah.
people mad.
Yeah,
I would say that because of the great work of Community Smart Northwest, STA has been paying a lot more attention, and they came and reported on their route changes, which had a lot to do with how we could encourage more ridership to Eastern State Hospital and Lakeland Village. And so those are some changes that are happening as a result of the good work in this program. Again, I would just reiterate that these requirements are on us. If we don't partner with Spokane County, we're responsible to do it all on our own, and it would take more than we really have to do that. Our partnership is really valued and beneficial. The great work that Leanne and her team does to track and manage all of that. It's very user friendly as far as employees go, to be able to mark when they save their trips and how they've gotten to work and created those, saved those miles traveled. And so, yeah, I think it's a really fantastic partnership as far as that goes.
Yeah, thanks,
There's
Sunny.
no funding for bike rides anywhere.
that's
I mean, a lot
another-
of people come to town. I know this had nothing to do with the CRT. I'm sorry. You're doing great work. Good job.
Yeah, I guess in that same regard, right, is that, looking at the opportunities we have to really help increase that. I think
Yes.
our participation with STA as well, and continuing to champion better transfer times and reduce times to get connected between the cities on the West Plains is, all that work, and additional bike racks are, all part of the program to improve and increase the opportunities and incentivize that rate reduction.
Prizes. Keep track of your community.
Yeah, I tried to do that. Yeah. This is good program. Great program. Yep, wonderful.
Yeah, so, no, we appreciate that. Any other questions from council? So I know that on the bike routes thing, that's all part of our,
Yes.
continued future planning of enhanced trails, and
It just brings people to town too, going to nice
It
bike route.
does.
You know, I mean, like I see people on Rome all the time.
I know, connecting all of the West Plains is my big dream, but right now, we're gonna be content with, regarding the commute trip reduction implementation plan, and, so, any other, comments, or concerns? Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion, regarding resolution 25-784.
Pass resolution 25-784. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. Motion passes. Resolution 25-784 passes. The first read of ordinance 1139, quarter 3, 2025 budget amendment. We actually in quarter 4. Why would we call this quarter 3 budget amendment?
Since it is responding to the quarter 3 changes,
Okay.
and we do have time in the new year to be able to do a quarter 4.
I see.
Yeah, we don't have to have that done by the end of the year. So this is our third quarter amendment.
You Sam.
Thank you.
That is spot on. Yeah, this is following the report that I gave, I believe it was in October, and addressed several items that I believe without budget amendment would result in us being over budget, and recommend that we increase appropriations for those. I'm happy to go through those items as well. They're on page 39 in detail. So it's 25.5 through 25.11.
Does it state in the ordinance the total?
Yes, so there is on page two different places it does say it's on 36 in section 1. It does state what the appropriations are going from. So the total amended appropriations from 17 million to 18 million. And then in the notice of ordinance passed, it also does state in section 1 the increase of expenditures of 1.1 million.
And then the detail is on page 39.
And then, yes, the detail on page 39 lists out what each of the amendments are for and what funds that they are coming out of.
For groundwater study. That's covered through the grant. Insurance increases to be 4,650. Contingency fund, 710,000. That's for the FEMA repaving, which we expect to get reimbursed for that.
Yes.
Noting what I recall, make sure I'm thinking of this right. The water fund programs of 90,000 for the Linwell generator and meter repairs, and or is that all? That's not FEMA related, correct?
No, those were the issues that we had several months ago, where everything started to go down,
Yes, thank you.
expressing the need for the new generators.
Yeah, absolutely. Solid waste fund, 28,000 contractor and tip rate increases. Wastewater fund, 125,000 increase, contractor tip rate increases, unbudgeted excise tax expenses, etc. And I went over that, and then the last increase expenditure of 8,000. That was just newly added. We haven't been briefed on that, but that was an emergency head gasket repair on the 2006 dump truck needed now for snow plowing. So that just happened.
That's, yes.
Any question on that?
Well, actually, the chart that Cost gave Finance Committee will be easier to read, I'm thinking. But as I mentioned earlier in the committee, if you could explain the $690,000 difference between the estimated ending balance of the 4 million and the adjusted ending balance of 3.4 million, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially just kind of breaking down the numbers that went into the report there. And I did discuss this with Finance Committee. This is a report that is fresh off the press. I decided that it was necessary for council to have all of the information related to ending balances and the impacts on those ending balances when making the decision related to budget amendment, especially this late in the year. And so essentially running that report by Finance Committee. So what it has in it is the adjusted ending balances So we anticipated ending the year 2025 with it was about $3.4 million. After the budget was passed, we passed the budget in 24, and then in 25, I take a look at the numbers and see where did we really start the year with. And I found that I gave a report to council that we were off by about 500,000 surplus. So we ended the year with 500,000 more than we anticipated. So that it was approximately 4 million that we started the year with. So with that 500,000 additional surplus, it meant that we would end 2025 with approximately $500,000 more. And so I did an adjusted ending balance, and then in the report, it removes what we've already amended for the year, so the budget amendments that have been passed, and then also what I'm proposing in this amendment, and then also taking into account revenue surpluses. And Dawn, I didn't bring it with me. Do you mind reading the total revenue surplus that I estimated? It would be at the bottom.
You didn't have a total.
Oh, my apologies. I don't have a total, but
I could add it up real quick.
no, it's okay. I thought I did. But anyway, so it takes into account the revenue surpluses, and then I'm projecting that with those surpluses and the amendments that have been made and the adjusted ending balance, that we will end the year with about 3.4 million. So all of that to say that what we had estimated in 2024 for 25 is coming to fruition. But essentially we had a surplus in the beginning of the year, so we didn't spend all that we were anticipating we would spend in 24, and essentially it kind of created a carryover that we just need to address with additional expenditures that happened in 25. In part of that being the FEMA project, the repaving escalated that quite a bit. If we hadn't had that, we would actually end the year with quite a bit more than we anticipated in the budget.
I wanted to say one word that we continue to use, and I had somebody brought it to my attention. When we use the word surplus,
Sure.
It sounds like we started off with this $500,000 more that we can spend on something else, but really it was unrealized expenses. It
Right.
was ongoing projects that hadn't been finished, and so those dollars carried over. So it's more of a carryover for the continuation of capital projects.
Yes.
In particular when we're looking at salaries and property taxes and all those things that change, at the end of the year, we look into it and people are like, well, yeah, there's a big surplus, and it's like, oh, we're managing our money well, but those were actually just expenses that hadn't happened yet because projects were unfinished.
That is
Kitchen,
exactly
for
it.
example.
Yes.
So anyway, yes, sir. You have a
I
number
was just
for us?
gonna say the math on those revenue, the additional revenues is 519,221. Did I do well?
I got 421, but
Okay.
519,421. Close.
About 519,000 and some change.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll make sure that
Okay,
it's another reason I'm piloting with finances, because I want to make sure
it's
this
a new form, it was a
report
new
is
idea, and we'll
simplified.
dial that in, especially if you see something on there that is difficult to understand or could be more clear, like totals and what they.
Any
Thank you,
questions?
those for cost for thinking of that. Any questions then on the budget amendment, Q3 budget amendment? Entertain a motion, and if there's no other discussion or questions.
I'd move to approve the first read.
Second.
We read it on the record.
First read, let's read that into the record.
City of
Ordinance.
Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington, ordinance number 1139, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Medical Lake, Spokane County, Washington, amending ordinance number 1132, section 1, parenthetical 2024, and parenthetical in the 2025 final budget, providing for the effective date thereof, and other matters properly related thereto.
Thank you. Any further discussion then?
I might abstain just because I'm part of that groundwater study. Should I abstain from that? I don't know.
No, because it's not related to the execution of the projects.
Okay.
But I do appreciate your thought.
No, it's a good thought,
I want
but
to backtrack.
This
Yeah.
would be specifically related to the adopted budget, which you're a part.
Cool. That looks great. Yeah.
So, we have a motion, by Councilmember Kennedy, second by Councilmember Harple. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion then? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Ordinance
Thank you very much.
1139 passes unanimously. Thank you so much. No emergency ordinances, nothing noted under upcoming agenda items. If you have things on your mind, speak now or share those with Mr. Weathers before the next meeting. Opportunity for interested citizen comment. Anyone online or in the room that has a comment for council? Any comments? For any public comment? All right.
Move to conclude.
All in favor? This meeting is- See you then. Christmas meeting, pass the old Christmas budget. Jolly